that me? Does that do the
That
job?
is all of you. All of you is there now. Yes.
All of me. Oh dear, that's a problem. That's Aberystwyth, isn't it?
It is Aberystwyth from the top of Constitution Hill.
I used to live just behind your right ear.
Right here. Which way shall I move?
Mill Street, behind your right ear. You know which way that is.
I couldn't tell you which way that was. It's a small thing down there in the bay.
Probably been knocked down now anyway. Okay, so I've got a bit of a technical issue that you explained to me the other week how Printflow works with all its automation and everything, and I had somebody phone me up and asked me about how they could use it. So they've got at the moment they've got an MIS system, but they've got what, an old T-card planning board on their MIS system that they can just drop block left and right. Explain to me what we do differently, please.
Okay. So, the world has moved on a bit since you and I were using T-card systems. So we're all totally electronic. And the way that Printflow works is it's kind of looking at all of your tasks, all of the things in your factory, and it's working out how best it can plan all that stuff so that everything, or as much as it can, everything goes out on time. Keeps all your customers happy.
So if I'm a salesman or something, I can see the planning board, from somewhere, and how does it know where to put all the jobs? So if you've got, I don't know, a stitch job or something like that, might have 8 print sections, a cover, they've got to be folded, then put together and stitched to be shipped out the door. How does it know about that sort of stuff?
Yeah. So you're a visual person, aren't you? So shall I show you a couple of screens of like how this looks? So let's have a quick look over here at what we've got. So this is the Gantt view, or the Gantt view. Like, this is replacing your T-card. So your 3-week planning board, 2-week planning board on the wall. This replaces that. This is your list of cost centers. Those are your machines. These are all your jobs, whatever you need in your factory. And this is your shift pattern, when you're open, when you're closed. So sales guy, you could come in here, you could look at this and see how busy you are or how quiet you are. There's loads of other ways you can do that. So we've got like a graphical view over here to show you how busy or empty different machines might be. So we can do this kind of stuff.
Okay, so the blue is what?
So the blue is when you can go and sell. That's available time.
Okay, cool.
The grey, that's my shift pattern. That's I'm closed. Factories doesn't work overnight or doesn't work the weekend. And then I've got bits of time where I'm running or I'm doing setup. We've also got a unique thing in here. You see just a little bit of it here in purple. This is called switchover. So when you're like optimizing your schedule, in the days when you have been planning stuff on the factory, you'd be like, I'm going to get all my offset jobs together. I'm going to run all of my jobs that are needing laminating one after the other to just make it efficient itself. Well, you've got all that in your brain. I've got that in my brain. People who schedule know this kind of stuff, but so does Printflow. It knows it. You build the intelligence behind it. And so it looks for your properties and just puts them onto the board in the right place. And you can see it there's 40-minute switch over here. Something is needed that's going to cost me time in production. Maybe you need to wash up blankets. You've got to change some packing on a press because you're going down to a small sheet. That kind of stuff, you can build rules into it and build it as part of your system.
So it sort of says, if the next job is X type job, a different type of job, then do this thing. Or if the previous job is a different sort of job, then do this. So it knows about the relationship between the jobs that are next to each other?
Yeah, so it knows about 2 things. It knows about the relationship between the job A, if you like, and job B, the one that's going to follow the previous job. But it also knows about all the relationships within a job. So now you talked about a stitched book with 8 sections. Well, you might have a cover, you might need laminating, you might need folding, you might have 4-page sections, 16-page sections. All of those things have to come together before you can run a stitcher. No point planning your stitcher if all those other stuff hasn't happened. because the best planning tool in the world, your operator can't do it if the cover isn't laminated. So, you know, these are things that, you know, I hear about people saying, how on earth can I solve this? That's what Printflow or mid-market can do in combination with Pace as well.
So it automatically plans how often? Well, does it take all the jobs off the board and then put them all back on every time it does it, or?
So this is the scary stuff. If you're a scheduler and I tell you, yeah, it plans everything, it optimizes your whole factory, and it can do it every 5 minutes if you want it to. Scheduler goes, well, hang on, what am I going to do? Well, you set the rules, and they could be different for different machines. So you could have like a litho press. Let's not worry. We've got to get plates. We've got to get materials out to it. Let's not reschedule that often. Let's just do it every couple of hours and find the best route. Let's take a digital press where we take orders in from a website, and we want to print as quick as possible, as many jobs as we can, as automatically as we can. Maybe schedule out every 2 minutes, something frequent so that it's always reacting to fast turnaround work.
And I've seen some of our customers have got digital, like hundreds of digital jobs coming in every day. Can it cope with that sort of stuff?
Yeah, so I mean, it's certainly designed to cope with thousands of jobs. You know, we've got some big customers, multi-site companies who take it and run it fully automated, so nobody touches it at all. They just prepare the rules, let the rules drive the automation. But we've also got customers who are, I'm going to call them your typical commercial printer, who's got a reasonable size factory and a variety of machines, and they run it manually in the day. They've got a guy who sits there, he looks at the schedule, he takes orders, he listens to salespeople, CSRs, and he's entering, or he's keeping an eye on it. And then when he goes home at night, he flicks it into auto, so that when the night shift is running, if a decision has to be made by somebody, the computer will make it. And he can come back in the next morning, see what's happened, but generally he's happy that it's done the right thing. And sometimes that's even been known to swap something from one press to another when there's been a breakdown. Operator can enter, and like an operator screen, they can enter a breakdown, and when it reschedules, it can go and look something new for them.
So it's been proven in the field really that it does do its job, yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I mean, definitely. There's, you know, we've got a huge company in the US who use it across 18 different sites. So we figure if they can cope with it in 18 sites, it's pretty much fine in just a single site somewhere.
I can imagine a scheduler, you'd be like, it's not going to automatically schedule. But you could sort of run it in the semi-automated mode that you were just talking about, or
Yes, you don't have to be fully automated. You could run it where a scheduler is taking a view on it. But actually what you find is when people start using it, the scheduler changes their way of thinking. They go, hey, I don't need to think about grouping all my Glosslam jobs together, or running all of my matte material one after the other, or all of the certain size after itself. I can spend my time thinking, what should my rule be? And so it's a bit of a change of mindset and change of way of thinking.
Gotcha. So you could, I'm surmising here and guessing a bit that when it's looking at stuff, the algorithm's too complicated for me or the probably to work out, but it's going to go, okay, so I've got delivery date, which is my biggest driver in the system, and then I'll try and do like jobs together as best I can to meet the delivery dates.
So what the clever thing about the algorithm is, it can be different for different machines. So if you take my random little factory here, maybe I have a different set of rules for this machine that's a digital machine compared to a machine down here that might be a folding machine. Maybe I need to group things in a different way. I need to think about them differently. Well, I can. Every single machine can have its own set of rules and optimization criteria. It's like trying to avoid the bottleneck on each machine, but the software is able to do it on all the machines all at the same time.
Okay, so I know that some of my previous customers would do something like mailing, and they might have a mailing campaign. They might have 10 enclosures, and their mailing campaign might run over 8-10 days or something like that, So they'll want to get that to be optimized as best as they possibly can over each of the enclosures, and the enclosures might even run at different speeds or be different models of enclosure.
Yeah,
we can cope with all that stuff as well.
Cope with all that. So you can look at like the properties of a job. We can do what's called parallel cost centers. So this is where you've got multiple machines that all are pretty much the same, but they might have subtle differences. Like an enclosure, I might have 6 hoppers or I might have 4 hoppers.
Yeah.
So maybe I can do automated and barcode reading. Maybe I'm a little bit more manual, and maybe I can handle envelopes. Maybe I can't. All of those are just properties on the job. So you send them through, and Printflow will distribute them, and we'll say, look, you've got 4 really good enclosures, use them, split the task out to hit the date. You've got to run a quarter of it on each of the machines. If one of them is a real slow machine, well, you can adjust its efficiency. You can say, look, compared to 100%, I only achieve 80%, and leave it at that.
Okay. So what happens? I'm just trying to ask the questions that he's going to ask me. Yeah, what happens if Bob on machine 1 is running slow? He's behind time. Yeah, on one of the parts. No, this big long job that they're doing. It's over multiple days. He's running at 4,000 an hour, and all the other machines are running at 8,000 an hour because Bob's not very good. What happens? What does the algorithm do when it goes to reschedule? Because does it know from our shop floor system how fast Bob's running and how many he's done?
Poor Bob. Poor Bob.
Bob.
He might be quick, Bob. He might be working. It might just be a bad day for him. But yes,
right, Bob.
When it's like getting when it gets data collection back in, it uses that to feed constantly. So it's constantly looking. It's like a 360-degree look. What you're doing on the shop floor is feeding the schedule, which is feeding the shop floor, which is feeding the schedule. It's constantly looking it up. Every time it reschedules, it looks at how many you've processed. And we've got, a few different options about that. We maybe have to pick that up another day, but we could do automated data that comes direct from a machine, from a sensor. So you don't even need poor Bob, if he's a bit slow, to go back over to his console to say what he's done, because the machine knows it. It's already got the data in it.
Okay. And well, we also take JMF data as well from
yes. So take JDF, JMF data. It's got connections with Firies as well. So all that stuff that you'd expect it to do digitally, it will just handle.
And if, as an example, he potentially would want to keep his present MIS system, yeah, but he could plug this into it potentially by using XML feeds and stuff like that. If he had an ERP as well, along those lines.
Printflow is designed as a big tool. So yes, it links with our MIS, no problem. But it also will link into other big systems. So we've got people who use it with the likes of SAP or Navision, or Epic, or big business-wide systems that these bigger companies have got. What most companies miss is an intelligent scheduling system.
Yeah.
And that is really what Printflow's strength is. So yes, it'll talk to our ERPs, but it will talk to generic ones too.
Okay. And on the big tool note, I think we'll stop there. Have I got any other questions? Okay, so I'll go back and explain that, and then we'll do a proper dem for him if he wants it, yeah, and go from there. So this typically, if we were selling this into a system, would go in with Pace with our mid-market suite, yeah, as part of the scheduling system.
Yeah, so you'd be looking for something like this, kind of feeding it. So like the links between processes. So this is like, I've got a binding line, I've got a bit of folding from some sections, I've got a cover, my cover's got a print, and it's going out for outwork foiling. So even the outwork can link into the schedule and say, look, you've got to wait for the cover to come back before you can go and run the binder.
So that's the key, is getting that. Once you've got that and you're feeding that in,
yeah,
it can deal with it, yeah?
Yeah.
Cool. That's great. I'll be back in 20 minutes when he asks me a question I haven't asked you. Cheers,
well,
mate.
you might have all day to come back every 20 minutes, but I've got things to do.
I'm in sales now, mate. This is the way it works. Right?